So you think you want to be an entrepreneur? Oh man, you think you really want to be an entrepreneur? All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jacob Brown podcast. This is episode number 2. If you guys followed along last month, my first episode was called Just Start. And in that episode, I talked a little bit about just starting, how I had some anxiety, I had some nervousness before I started my first podcast, but I put all of that aside. I pushed through the fear and I just started. I just did my first podcast. I launched it on YouTube. Some of you guys watched it. Some of you guys gave me some great feedback. And here I am for episode number 2. And if you guys are ready, I want you to make sure that you grab your coffee. Make sure you grab your coffee. I've got mine because I'm going to take you guys down a road that not many people are used to going. And that is a road called entrepreneurship. And I'm going to tell you a couple stories and just kind of walk it out. But there's something I want to share with you guys, when it comes to entrepreneurship. In 2022, 50.5 million people resigned from their jobs. In 2022, 50.5 million people resigned from their jobs. They call this like the Great Resignation. I know a lot of people don't like that term, the Great Resignation, but that's kind of what it sounds like. In 2021, I think around 40-something million. 2022, 50.5 million. That's a lot of people that quit their jobs. And I'm wondering, what caused people to leave their jobs, realistically? And I'm thinking, what caused people to leave their jobs? I remember back in 2022, where I was in my corporate America career. I remember where I was in my entrepreneur career as well. And I remember looking at my life and looking at my passions and wondering, Jake, when are you going to fully step out and have faith that your abilities, your experience, your knowledge, your talents, your network will carry you to help do the things that you truly want to do. But you know what? That thing called fear in the back of your mind when it comes to entrepreneurship, because what many people don't realize with entrepreneurship is how hard it really is to be an entrepreneur. How hard it really is. How lonely it really gets. You are going to have to wake up pretty dang on early. And you're going to have to stay up pretty dang on late. And you're going to have to work 24/7 at some times. I know a lot of people leave their 9 to 5 and they want to go home and they want to relax and they want to just chill, but I got to be honest. I never knew how hard being a full-time entrepreneur was going to be until I stepped into it myself. And I had always been an entrepreneur. Even when I carried 9 to 5 jobs, I always had something on the side. I was always doing something on the side. I remember back in 2007, 2008, after I got cut from the NFL and I started working at a CNC machine plant, and I got released from that because of the layoffs. And then I started working for a company called Oerlikon Balzers, which is in Wixom, Michigan. And I was a coating technician there. And there were times where we would put tools and big dies into the machines, and during the time that they were in the machines, which could range from 4 to 8 hours, you're kind of just sitting around twiddling your thumbs. And this is where I started to grow what is called my businesses, right? So I went to school at Central Michigan for graphic and web design, and I left early, didn't get my degree. I went and trained down in Miami for 2 months to go to the NFL. I pretty much failed out of my senior year at Central. And after I came back from the NFL, I'm like, now what? So I go to a temp agency, I get my first job, and I'm working at this tool and die place. And as I'm waiting around for 4 to 8 hours for these dies to come out, I figure I might as well do something with my time. So I started to design logos. I started to design websites for clients as I'm waiting for these dies. While everyone else is just sitting around drinking coffee or taking naps or whatnot, I'm doing something productive because I ultimately wanted to get into my career and industry, which is the web design, branding, digital agency world, right? But I knew with no degree at the time, I knew with no experience at the time, there was no chance I was going to be able to do that. And thank God that there was a company called Lee Contracting in 2008 that took a chance on me after they saw my portfolio. After building this portfolio for 2 years, building a client base, after 2 years, I finally broke into the industry. But my entrepreneurship never stopped. I continued to design and build logos on the side, no matter what job I had. And around 2017, that's when I started to grow this speaking brand, right? But before that, some of you guys might remember this, I created a company called Noise. And around 2009, 2010, this is when everyone's parents were starting to get on Facebook. And I didn't have Facebook at the time, but I remember that a lot of people's parents were getting on Facebook and everybody was trying to leave Facebook, whether they went to High Five or MySpace or whatever. And I decided that I was going to create Facebook 2.0. I was going to create a company, a social media brand called Noise that people could jump on. They could log into their Facebook. They could log into their MySpace. They could even log into their email. And I built it on a platform called Ning. So I utilized my web design experience to build a social media platform back in 2009. And I called it Noise. And that came from a guy that worked at one of the CNC machine plants. He was from Australia. He'd always come in and say, hey, how's everybody doing? And I'd say, I'm doing pretty good. And he'd say, Noise, that's Noise, right? So he kind of gave me that word. And I built it because it was something that was better than just nice. It was Noise, right? This is well before Key and Peele did the skit. But so I built Noise. And within 3 months, I actually got 40,000 users to start using Noise in 109 different countries. Now, this is well before I understood infrastructure and hosting and all the rest and even marketing, right? I had no idea how to monetize the users that were on the site. I had no idea how to build an infrastructure to even maintain this many users. And I had no money, to be quite honest. I had no money to be able to support this initiative, and it grew out of my reach. So I had to take it down. And that was failure number one, I guess you could say, after getting cut from the NFL. That was one of my bigger failures. Is I built this platform. I brought all these people to it. I marketed the heck out of it with the little money and the little knowledge that I had back in 2009, 2010. And people came to it and it folded because I did not have the knowledge or the know-how or even the resources to bring people in to understand how to grow and build that infrastructure. So Noise went away. The next venture that I created was Keep Michigan Working. So back in 2008, 9, 10, this is when all of the big three started to close. And there was a big recession, if you guys remember. And 2011 and 12, I decided I wanted to create a website to help people find jobs. So back then, Jennifer Granholm was our governor of Michigan. She would always say, we need to keep Michigan working. We need to keep Michigan working. So one of the things that I always do, and I don't want to give away one of my secrets, but anytime somebody says an idea or something that I feel could be something, I always go to a registrar, whether it's GoDaddy or whatnot, and I always look and search to see if that .com is open. And I remember going and seeing keepmichiganworking.com was wide open. keepmichiganworking.org was wide open. I bought both of them. And I built a website. One of my really good buddies, Eric, who used to work with me at MMTC in Plymouth, Michigan, he was the head of IT, and he knew how to develop things at a deeper root and that I could. So me and him partnered a little bit, and I asked him if he could help me create this website where it would pull job sources from other sources, right? It would be pulling from Indeed.com, from Monster.com, from CareerBuilder.com, and it would source them all into my website, which would source about 90,000 jobs. 90,000 jobs just here in Michigan that people can go, they can figure out how to write their resume, they can figure out who they could talk to get a job, they can figure out what resources that they needed in order to build and grow their career. And I called it Keep Michigan Working. And after a couple months, same thing that happened with Noise happened with Keep Michigan Working. I had to fold that. And the more that I failed throughout this process of entrepreneurship and trying to figure out like how to build something that could explode, how to build something that could gain enough attention and enough eyeballs that would start to grow legs and grow, the more I failed, the more I learned, right? And as I went through my career, I always maintained that entrepreneur mindset, that itch. I always had that in the back of my mind. I always had that in my back pocket. And I remember when it started to become an issue in some of my jobs, right? So I was holding jobs, leading design teams, leading development teams, right? But I always had something on the side where I was doing, smaller websites, smaller branding projects that were not a conflict of interest, but the leaders that I had at the time really didn't like that I had something going on the side, even when I started my speaking career. And, I coach a lot of individuals now, and I realize that a lot of leaders are insecure in themselves and also in their leadership, so much to the point where they do not encourage their employees to do anything outside of their full-time job. And I know somebody that's listening to me right now knows exactly what I'm talking about, because they might have a leader where they have something on the side that has nothing to do with their job, right? And they're doing something, whether it's, decorating cakes, or whether they're doing real estate on the side, or whatever you might be doing, and your leader at your corporate job is starting to question your loyalty to your position. I want to tell you something. I went through this for almost 10 years and got to a point where I had to make a decision that I wasn't going to allow my leader or the companies I work for, as long as I was doing my job and doing it at a high level and performing very well, no one can tell you what to do outside of those office hours, right? Now, it's one thing if you're doing them during office hours. It's one thing if you're doing them on your computer that your company issued to you, right? If it's one thing if you're taking phone calls on the company issued phone that have nothing to do with the business that you're working at. But it's another thing if you're, whether you're taking PTO to go and do these side jobs, or whether you're taking vacation to go visit places that you're trying to sell. If you're doing those things on your own time, please hear me out. Please do not allow your leader to control your life when it's something that you're passionate about. If you are passionate about something, I always tell people, if there's something you're very passionate about, you have to start doing it until you can do it, right? If there's something you truly want to do, there are times where you're going to have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. But make sure that, number one, I want you guys to hear me clearly. Make sure that you are, make sure that you're doing it with integrity, okay? Because the last thing you want to do is to destroy bridges and do things out of that are immoral to your company and on your company's time, okay? But if you know that you're doing something outside of your company's time, whether it's on your PTO, whether it's on the weekends, whether it's in the evenings or early in the morning, and it's something that you're passionate about, do not allow your leaders to dictate that passion. Because there was a point in time where I did dim my light because I knew that my leader was either insecure or inferior or whatever it might be. And it staunched and stopped my progress and the process to which that I'm at right now, right? And I don't want that for you. Okay, and I'm here to tell you, if your leader has something to say about that, please send them to me. I have no problem telling them where to go. Because at the end of the day, guys, the best leaders encourage their employees and the people that are in their stead to live their best life and to do their best work wherever that might be. I remember I was a leader, and if I understood and knew that some of my employees weren't happy in their position or they wanted to do something else with their life, I would actually encourage them to resign from their job or start looking for another job. And I would write them letters of recommendation so they can go get and do and be the person that they would best be, right? Their best self. And that's the type of leader that you want to be. But the only way that you can truly step into this thing called entrepreneurship is if you start, but also understand, if you're in a 9-to-5, if you're at a corporate company, understand that there are things that when you step into entrepreneurship that you're not going to have when you step into entrepreneurship. You will, all of a sudden, you're going to become the accountant. You're going to become the HR. You're going to become the lead salesperson. You're going to become the business development person. You're going to become the marketing team. You are going to become the creative team. You are going to become the PR team. You are going to have to do and work much harder than you do and work right now if you are working for someone or for a company, for a corporate company. You have no idea how hard it is when you step out and you're out there on an island by yourself. Entrepreneurship is by far one of the hardest things that I have ever done. I have four successful companies. I am part of 4 successful companies right now that I am either an owner or a co-founder and co-owner of. And they are all successful, but they're only successful because of all of the failures that I've had in the past, right? And also all of the learnings that I've had during my time in corporate America. I understood what HR was doing, what IT was doing, what PR was doing, what sales was doing. And I've taken all of that information and used it in my entrepreneurship. Because one thing that I want you guys to realize is when you step into entrepreneurship, no one is going to be there to bring you leads. No one is going to be there to go and market you or to reach out to publications. No one's going to be there for those hard conversations that you're probably going to have either with your colleagues, your employees, or your staff. No one is going to be there. You are going to have to rely on all of the trainings and the learnings that you've had throughout your process. I hear people say all the time, you got to chase your passions. You got to chase your passions. Yes, you have to chase your passions, but you also need to understand and learn what your passions are through what your passions are not. I learned the things that I did not want to do in corporate America by trying and doing them first. And then I stepped into my entrepreneurship. I didn't just step into entrepreneurship not understanding what business was like, not understanding what collaboration was like, not understanding what deadlines were like, or putting together proposals. All of these things you, as an entrepreneur, are going to have to do yourself until you can grow enough revenues that you can start building a team that you can support. And I'm here to tell you that once you do that, it doesn't get any easier. It actually gets harder. It actually gets much harder once you grow a team, because now you have to trust people to be a part of the company and the organization and the baby that you have birthed and built. You have to trust them enough to delegate responsibilities to them and hope to God that they can do it somewhat as well as you have. That they can service your clients the way that you hoped to service your clients. That they can build the projects and the solutions and the products that you have been building up until that point. Entrepreneurship is not just physically hard. It is mentally, emotionally taxing. But I'm here to tell you there is no greater reward than to build something from scratch. To build something from scratch and to see it birth, and to see people come, and to see money come in. Oh yeah, by the way, entrepreneurship is sending that invoice and hoping they pay today. Even though it's not due for another 30 days, you still hope that they pay today, because you don't have that every other week check that's coming. You are relying on invoices that you're creating, terms that the company or the vendor that you're working with or the client that you have will pay it on a time so that you can manage and continue to build your business. It is hard, but I'm here to tell you it's so rewarding. It's absolutely so rewarding. And I work with many entrepreneurs now that are either still in corporate America or they are full-time on their own, and they want to continue to build their brand and build their business. And all of the things I'm telling you guys right now are the conversations that we have because they understand how hard it is. They understand what it takes to get themselves out of bed every single day because no one's going to make them. They have to do it themselves. They have to send those emails. They have to send the follow-ups. They have to send the invoices. They have to do the work. They have to work in the business and they have to work on the business. And that's a lot of something that a lot of entrepreneurs forget is that you can't just work in the business. You have to give yourself time, the rest note, to work on the business. And when you work on the business and not just in the business, that's when business starts to work for you. Entrepreneurship is something that a lot of people are stepping into. A lot of people are becoming digital marketing experts. A lot of people are becoming digital creators. They're becoming influencers. They're becoming entrepreneurs. And I often wonder, am I the only one that feels like this? Well, I'm here to tell you. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs every single day, and I know that I'm not the only one. And I thank God I'm not the only one. I want you to find your tribe. I want you to find those people around you that are willing to support you, that are willing to grow with you and willing to join you in your entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship should not be a lonely thing. It should be something that we do together. And not only together, that we also support each other's businesses. That's the only way we'll continue to grow forward. It's the only way that we'll fail forward. Hey everyone, thank you so much for visiting my YouTube channel. I hope something I said resonated with you. And if it did, make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and maybe even share it with someone that you feel this message would have been good for. I hope to see you all next time. And until then, as always, fail forward.